Thank you, Musumi. Maybe I can start. Just want to say hello to everyone. My name is Marco Ienna. I'm Chief Operating Officer at the WBSC. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you also for the Virtus community to attend this meeting and to give us the opportunity to present our sport and to see if we have any synergy between our two organizations to expand together our legacy into a better society. Thank you. I give the floor to my colleagues.
Hello, everyone. This is Valerio Cianfoni from WBSC. I'm head of special projects and innovation here. I'm leading the Baseball 5 project, among others, and look forward to telling you more about it and see if we can collaborate, help support, as Marco mentioned. Mattia. I cannot hear you. I don't know if you guys can. Try again.
Sorry, guys. Can you hear me now? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, Vale. No, I was thanking for the invitation as well. We are here today to give you an overview of the WBSC and our new urban discipline, Baseball 5, that we think it might be helpful and for the Virtus member to adopt. Please let me know if you see the presentation in the presentation mode. Okay. And now I can give the floor to Marco for the start of the presentation.
Thank you, Mattia. So together with my colleagues, today we prepared a presentation that could give you an overview of our sport and our international federation, since some of you might not be very familiar with the sport of baseball softball. We'll give you an introduction also to our ambition to be part of the Paralympic family and expand also our legacy to athletes with an intellectual impairment. And also, very important, we will give you an introduction of Baseball 5, which is our new inclusive mixed gender urban discipline. And so we can explore together some synergy for future cooperation. Next slide, please. So if I may, I would like to start by giving you an overview about the WBSC, where we are positioned within the sport movement. WBSC is quite a unique hybrid federation, I would say, because we are part of the ARIS family. That means that we are one of the sports that is recognized by the International Olympic Committee. But we are also part of ASWAF, which is the Association of Summer Olympic International Federations, thanks to our deep history within the Olympic Games. Next slide. WBSC is the world governing body for baseball and softball. We are counting 65 million athletes that are attracting worldwide annually 150 million fans to stadium. Bit of history. So in 1938, the International Baseball Federation was created, and in 1952, ISF was created to be the governing body for international softball. And so we born as a governing body as a separate organizations, and we merged back in 2014. So last year we celebrated our first decade as a global merged governing body. Next slide. So today we are perceived as a global sport, and we are pretty well developed in all the 5 continents with our traditional and new disciplines depending on geographic areas. I would say that we are more prominent with baseball and softball in, of course, USA, but also all the Latin American countries, Asia, and also Oceania, and a few countries in Europe. While with our new discipline, Baseball 5, we achieved the target to reach out areas that were not possible before, like the Middle East, or all Africa, and most of the European countries as well. In total, we are counting 204 members in 138 countries, and the discrepancy between the two numbers is due to the fact that in some countries we have 2 members, means that baseball and softball are represented by 2 separated national federations. Next, please. Our headquarters is in Puy, which is next to Lausanne, the Olympic capital, and was inaugurated by our president, Riccardo Fraccari, and the IOC president, Mr. Thomas Bach, back in 2020. Please, next slide. We have a very solid organization composed by more than 40 staff, and we are divided into 9 departments and our integrity unit. The Congress is the highest body than we have, and the executive board is composed by 16 elected officials, led by our president. Key figures in this structure are also the Presidential Council that convene to discuss and talk about strategic decisions, and 20 commissions that are formed by experts in various fields to bring forward innovative projects and propose recommendation to the executive board. And speaking about the commissions, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Mattia, that will present the activities of our Paralympic commissions and our aspiration to expand our Paralympic legacy. Mattia, back to you.
Thank you, Marco. Yeah, as Marco was saying, I'm involved in the Paralympic department at the WBC. I'm the liaison for the Paralympic Commission. And as a further proof that the Paralympic environment is key for us, I can tell you that as per our statutes, the Paralympic Commission is one of the 5 permanent commissions of the WBSC. It is chaired by Mr. Nick Barr. I'm sure you know him, the executive director of Virtus. And the most important aim is to support our national federation in the implementation of parasport activities within their country and regions. Our last presidential election was in 2022, and in the same year we launched the new strategic plan as a long-term vision of our leadership to achieve our strategic goals. A further evidence of our engagement with the Paralympic environment is the fact that the plan is in line with both the IOC and IPC Agenda 2020+5, and it contains several references to the Paralympic world as a demonstration of our commitment to becoming increasingly integrated within this movement. Without going too much into details, I can provide you with few examples of the goals related with the parasport that are included in the documents. For example, we want to work, and we are working toward the inclusion in both the Olympic but also the Paralympic Games. We support and engage with both the IOC and IPC campaigns, and we are increasingly support our national federations to introduce the parasports in their day-to-day activities. Looking at the Olympic Games, the WBSC is part of the Summer Olympics, and our relationship with the Olympic Games has been quite positive so far. Indeed, from 1912, baseball softball has been several times present at the Olympic Games as a demonstration sport until we joined officially in 1992 to 2008. So baseball softball was present in Barcelona, Atlanta, Sydney, Athens, and Beijing Olympics. Then, after being out for a while, we joined again the Tokyo 2020 sports program, and now we are also part of the LA 2028 Olympic Games. Looking ahead, our leadership is already working with local government and sports authorities towards the inclusion at Brisbane 2032. The WBC is not only part of the Summer Olympics. In recent years, we have shifted our focus on innovation, and this has paid off so far, as we are now present in the Youth Olympic Games with Baseball 5, Youth Olympic Games that will be played in Dakar, Senegal, 2026, and also in the Olympic esports, where we will be part of the program with our e-game products. Additionally, we are founding members of the Olympic Virtual Series, and back in 2023, we participated as a sport in the Olympic Esports Series in Singapore. We think the future is bright because it is likely that we will be members of the Olympic Esports Games with our e-game product that is one of the leader in the sector. Here you have a quick snapshot of the 19 WBSC World Cups currently in our lineup. We have 5 baseball World Cups and the Premier 12, which is our flagship events every 4 years, and 3 Women's Softball World Cup and 3 Men's Softball World Cup. So in total, 6 World Cups for softballs. With regards to e-baseball, we have 2 major events, the e-Premier 12 and the e-Baseball Series. And then we also have 2 World Cups for Baseball 5. One is dedicated to the youth, 15 to 18 years old, and one to the senior. Specifically this year, we will be involved in Mexico for the second edition of the Youth Baseball 5 World Cup, while last year we were in Hong Kong for the Senior Baseball 5 World Cup. Then we have 2 recently launched products, the Baseball Champions League and the Slow Pitch World Cup. And last but not least, we have our Parasport major event, which is the Blind Baseball International Cup. Last year, we celebrated the second edition also for this event in London. Nick was one of our guests at that time, and we had 8 teams, which represented already an increase compared to the first edition in the Netherlands back in 2022, where we had 6 teams participating. Before giving the floor to my colleague Valerio, I would like to talk a little bit about the partnership that we have with Virtus. That's why we are here today. In December 2022, we signed an MOU that commits the 2 parties in supporting the respective national federation in work together to promote baseball and softball for athletes with an intellectual impairment. And here comes our presentation that will move on with Baseball 5 because we believe that Baseball 5 can perfectly fit to the needs of Virtus members, considering its characteristics and features that now Valerio will explain to you in more details.
Mattia, Marco, thank you very much. Friends at Virtus, appreciate the opportunity to introducing you our new urban youth-focused game, sport, discipline, name it whatever. It's Baseball 5. And without trying to be too corporate, I think our president's quote sums it up pretty well, which is Baseball 5 is the new 5-on-5 urban discipline of the WBSC. It's inclusive, accessible, and cost-effective. Baseball 5 will bring our sport to places not possible before. This quote dates back, I think, 2017, and basically now you can see that it's slowly realizing this vision. Next up, there's a video from 2019. Matt, if you can play it, thank you very much. So the background of Baseball 5 is coming from the desire of the WBSC to increase accessibility to the sport and being finally able to bring baseball, softball in places where it was not possible before. So the idea is following also the footsteps of the broader trend from the Olympic movement, which is trying to taking the sports out of the big venues and more closer to the people. And to this respect, Baseball 5 takes inspiration from a street game, mostly played in Cuba and also in the Caribbean region. In Cuba it's called Cuatresquina, here in Colombia it's called Bolita Caucho, Pelotica de Goma in Venezuela. And also we found out that there are versions of the street game also in Asia and Southeast Asia. From there, we did a research for over a year, defining the rules, and now finally we came up with this 5-on-5 street version of the baseball softball game. WBSC's vision is to reach 1 billion people in the next decade, and we think that we cannot achieve that without a discipline that is more accessible, and I think Baseball 5 will be instrumental to this. A shorter term goal is the inclusion of Baseball 5 in major multi-sport events and the legitimacy of its own discipline. And I think we are working towards the right direction here. The main difference between Baseball 5 and baseball and softball is the pace of the game. Here, every ball is a play. So there is no pitcher, and the batter starts already with the ball in the hand and initiates the game with a serve, basically. So every ball there is game, there is play, and you can see from the reaction of the players and from the speed of the game that the pace is probably and the rhythm, those are probably the main differences. We're witnessing now growing interest, social interest, not only in the sports world, but also from governments and organizations worldwide into gender balance and social inclusion. But this is often achieved by having a 50-50% quota, but still keeping the separation between genders. With Baseball 5, we're developing a game, or probably we have developed a game that rewards skills over strength, to put it in simple words. And this allows us to play boys and girls, men and women together, and I think we will go far with this format. For us, the Open of the Americas here in Cartagena is a very important step. It is the first time we're gathering several teams from few of our members in the region to compete together. And some of the results here on day one are already exceptional. We were not expecting some of the results that we're seeing. And from the response also of the crowd and the local people, we only have nothing but positive feedbacks. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. So, why did we embark in this project? You can imagine. I mean, it's a massive endeavor to create a new sports discipline and push it all over the world. Although we looked at why baseball and softball are so strong in certain countries and how come in other countries are not as strong and was difficult to develop our game all over the world. Uh, Infrastructure, maintenance of existing infrastructure, government support, family support, transportation. These are all items that for which resources are necessary, and normally staff to pool resources onto sport. Therefore, we wanted to create something that would overcome these difficulties, as well as something that wouldn't need a dedicated infrastructure, wouldn't feel or be perceived so complex as baseball and softball often are, and wouldn't have a costly entry barrier when it comes also to equipment. Thank you. Therefore, we designed this game that has a new format. It is a way quicker format, still scalable for high level events. We play mini series of 3 games, but when it comes to regional or club competitions, those normally are played with between 15 to 30 minutes in a single set. The field itself is quite small and it fits in roughly half of a basketball court, and it can be played indoor and outdoor. This helps a lot. Baseball and softball, that is a summer sport, and therefore most of our community in the winter tends to lose participation to other sports that can be played indoor. With Baseball 5, our clubs now have the opportunity to offer a 365 game to their members. When it comes to equipment, a rubber ball suffice. So just a rubber ball and existing facilities are enough for starting the Baseball 5 game. And the game, as Marco mentioned, is played mixed gender, which helps a lot, especially in school setting and probably in larger community group setting. Thank you. What are the 5 defining features of Baseball 5? Obviously, there's many. We identify it to be accessible, inclusive, sustainable, urban, and youth-focused. As you can see, these are all elements that resonates with the current trend, even if we think about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that have been touched upon before. So we do eliminate all entry barriers. Rules are simplified, which means they're simplified not only for the players, for those that need to receive them, but also for those who need to teach them. It is inclusive, not only because it's mixed gender, but it is inclusive because the set of skills required to enjoy the game aren't so strict. So that's why we think also for Virtus this can be a good adaptation. It is sustainable. I was playing before with an actual baseball, and these are handmade and very costly, and often break or are not usable anymore once they're hit. So a baseball game at a World Cup may use around 50 to 60 baseballs. A baseball 5 ball lasts a season, and you can play multiple games with only one. It is urban. We know more and more people now live in urban settings where space is limited. So reducing the field of play in terms of size and being able to utilize those that are already available, it's definitely a big plus. And it is youth focused, especially when it comes to having something quicker and not so long. It resonates more with younger generations whose attention span tends to be quite shorter than what it used to maybe 20 or 30 years ago. Thank you, Matt. So this is a slide that explains how Baseball 5 works well in a school setting, but I think schools can have similar constraints that what you at Virtus may face, meaning having a diverse group of people to work with. not having specialized personnel that runs sports program. So it is a low liability game, meaning it's a contact-free game. Therefore, it is a lot less prone to injuries. This would help the adoption from the instructors and also from the families when it comes to kids. It is gender balanced, so even to have competitions, you don't need to separate the groups. We mentioned cost effectiveness. I think this is a nice to hear for any organization, and it doesn't need, as mentioned, the dedicated environment. I talked about how it is easy to teach and learn, and maybe we go more in details when we talk about what we can do to support you in this direction. And has and carries, well, baseball 5 in general as a sport carries a variety of educational values such as sustainability, teamwork, strategic thinking, concentration, and others that are very well detailed in our toolkit. Thank you. So a little bit of history, and I was mentioning it is nice to see like 6 years ago how far we've come, and you would see with the next video how far in such a short time Baseball 5 has come. But we started in 2017 with first pilot of the project, and then defining the first set of rules and a little launch event that was held in Cuba. A year later, we already joined some major events such as the MLB Major League Baseball All-Star Game, and we were invited by the IOC to introduce the discipline at the Youth Olympic in Buenos Aires. 1 year later, we started our CSR work with the United Nations, UNHCR to be specific. We piloted also Baseball 5 as a tool for conflict resolution, reconciliation at Zatari refugee camp. And to our surprise, we witnessed Baseball 5 picking up organically in the Gaza Strip. There was a very big source of motivation for us, to be frank. And we started with the first international tournament. It was an invitational tournament where the interview you just saw was shot. Just 2 years later, after the launch, Baseball 5 reached over 30 countries across all continents. Yeah, thank you. In 2020, Europe, that isn't an historically prone baseball softball continent, hosted the first European Championship of Baseball 5, while at the beginning of the year, right before pandemic, the IOC included Baseball 5 in the sports program for the Youth Olympics Dakar. The event should have been in 2022, and then it was, as you may know, postponed to 2026 because of the COVID pandemic. In 2021, we kept on our Olympic journey with a showcase during Tokyo 2020, and we started our development in Africa, collaborating tightly with Olymp Africa, that is an agency that works on sports development in the continent. 2022 is another landmark year because we introduced Baseball 5 in many African countries, such as Senegal, that is very important for us because of the Youth Olympics, and Tanzania, who later just hosted the first African Championship. That very same year, we had the first World Cup in Mexico City at the Zocalo. It was a very iconic launch for the event. And in 2023, thank you, Matt. And in 2023, also the Youth World Cup was launched, while we noticed how Baseball 5 not only provided opportunities for sports development, but also provided opportunities for non-traditional baseball countries, non-powerhouses to excel on the global stage, with France reaching number one, the first place for the first time in history within a WBSC global ranking. 2024, we kept on working also on our CSR, and we launched a Baseball 5 refugee team, always in Jordan, different camp, but even more engaged with that type of work. that also is another experience that could be encouraging for Virtus and its members in terms of adopting Baseball 5 in that context. Last year, we also had the second Baseball 5 World Cup. This time was in Hong Kong, and we took another step forward, having a non-traditional of our members hosting a World Cup. We very much look forward to this year, where we will start the qualifying events for the Youth Olympics, and we'll hold as well the second Baseball 5 Youth World Cup still in Mexico. So after 7 years, Baseball 5 has consolidated its position within the Olympic movement. It has an established international competition calendar and is prone to, it's keen to make this its Olympic debut. Thank you. As a short video about from the latest World Cup, just to give you a glimpse of how fast and how well, I would say, the game has developed in a short time. Thank you. Thank you, Mattia. Well, for us that worked on it since the beginning, Mattia even wrote his thesis at the University on Baseball 5. It is certainly touching also to see the results of the work. But for you, what does this mean? We think that Baseball 5 aligns perfectly with Virtus's activities and goals, offering accessible and simple way to promote integration, education, and engagement in physical activities for everyone. As we mentioned, it also aligns with WBSC goal to expand its Paralympic activity. And what we can do for you, we want to support your activities with equipment when possible and education for the most part, as well as should you have any idea or new projects that you want to present to us. We very much look forward to hearing from you and consult about it. You can reach out directly to us or via your colleagues at Virtus. There is a General Baseball 5 account. I think you received the presentation afterwards, and you can just, the account is received by my colleague and myself. So feel free to reach out if you have any additional question or you want to ask for anything. That concludes our presentation, and if there's any question, feel free to raise your hand or type it in the chat. We're here to answering it.